Assessment and Accreditation Council. Bishop Moore College has also been consistently ranked among the top 100 colleges for 3 years, 2018, 2020, and 2021. The IQAC of Bishop Moore College was established in 2003 after the first cycle of accreditation. As we all know, the aim of the IQAC is to develop a system for conscious, consistent, and catalytic action to improve the academic and administrative performance of the institution. Preparing an institution for a NAAC accreditation has always been the prime concern of the IQAC coordinators. Rapid changes are taking place in the methodology of assessment, and therefore, unless and until the IQAC coordinators, IQAC members, and faculty members are oriented on the accreditation process, preparing the SSR, the self-study report, is going to be a very difficult task. As we all know, the NAAC has published a new re-accreditation framework in 2017. And the re-accreditation framework provides for a new set of quality indicator framework, which all IQAC members and the IQAC coordinators must be acquainted with. Without a basic knowledge of the changes that are taking place in the re-accreditation framework, it is going to be very difficult for an institution to undergo the accreditation process. And the objective of this workshop is to acquaint or familiarize the IQAC members with the re-accreditation framework. The duty bestowed upon me is to welcome the guests and the delegates participating in this online workshop. Dr. Jacob Chandy sir, he is the principal of Bishop Moore College, and he has been the backbone, he has been the brain behind the program, and it is his motivation that has made us able to organize this national workshop. On behalf of Bishop Moore College and on behalf of all the participants, I very heartily welcome the principal and who is presiding over this function to this program. Today we have a very eminent academician in our midst. Actually, I'm extremely grateful to Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle sir, because today it was intended that Dr. Sabu Thomas, the Vice Chancellor of the Mahatma Gandhi University, will inaugurate this program. But unfortunately, he was down with fever and severe body pain, and he's not able to attend this program. And on behalf of the Bishop Moore College, we are extremely grateful to Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle sir for consenting to inaugurate this program. Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle sir, he is the Professor of Commerce, the head of the Department of Commerce in the University of Kerala. He has an MCom, MPhil, PhD, and an MBA. He has successfully guided more than 25 PhDs and 49 MPhils. He has published more than 48 research papers. He was the coordinator of a major research project of the Government of India, undertaken by the Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. He was the coordinator of the UGC SAP project approved by the UGC, again for the department. Tuttle sir, he's a former General Secretary of the Indian Accounting Association and the current Chief Editor of the Indian Commerce Association, a professional member of the National Institute of Personnel Management and member of the All India Management Association. He's the governing board member of the Center for Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram. And I'm extremely happy to say that currently he's the director of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of the University of Kerala and a member of the advisory board of the Kerala Institutional Ranking Framework of the Kerala State Higher Education Council, and also a member of the State Assessment and Accreditation Council. I take this opportunity to very warmly welcome Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle sir into our midst. A very warm welcome, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lynette Joseph, the Assistant Professor in the Department of Physics and the IQAC member of this college, She's acting as the convener of this online workshop, and she will be proposing the vote of thanks. I very heartily welcome Dr. Lynette. We also have very eminent academicians, IQAC members, principals, and also we are very happy to say that we have a Deputy Director, Dr. Benitin Skaria, Deputy Director of Collegiate Education, Thrissur, who has registered for this program. We have participation from the length and breadth of the nation. I very wholeheartedly welcome all the delegates to this national online workshop. Once again, I'm very happy to welcome all the delegates to this national workshop sponsored by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council on Teaching, Learning, and Research in the perspective of NAAC re-accreditation framework. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our principal, Dr. Jacob Chandy, sir, to deliver the presidential address.
Respected Chief Guest of the day, Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, the IQAC Coordinator and Dean of Commerce, University of Kerala, Mr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, IQAC Coordinator, Bishopur College, Mavelikara, dear participants from all over India, and my dear colleagues. Another new day has born with all its possibilities. Good morning and greetings from Bishopur College. I am indeed very happy to see that the IQAC of the college is organizing a very important and relevant workshop on the topic Teaching, Learning, and Research in the perspective of NAAC revised accreditation framework. Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of MG University, has consented to inaugurate this national seminar, but unfortunately yesterday evening, he informed me that he was tested COVID positive and had high fever and unable to attend this session. I pray for his speedy recovery. In the wake of this crisis, we approached Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, sir, to inaugurate the workshop, and he gladly accepted the same. Thank you, sir, and welcome to Bishopur College into this national seminar. Being the principal of the college, I welcome each and everyone into this national workshop. Since more than 5.5 decades, Bishopur College has had a transformative influence, not just in this region, in this local region. It has influence in the state or the country, but across the world. G.K. Chesterton had said, education is simply the soul of the society as it passes from one generation to another. Bishopur College has been able to ensure that the soul that passes from one generation to the next is refined and bettered every time. With the help of the sparks that they gained from the college, our alumni have added to the luminosity of the world. With an A grade in NAAC and SAC, being ranked among the top 100 colleges in India in the NARF ranking, placed in the performer band in area ranking 2021, Bishopur College has been always an institution that has valued the richness that tradition offers, while at the same time even willing to imbibe changes and embrace the promise that the future holds. This national workshop, sponsored by NAAC on teaching, learning, and research in the perspective of NAAC RAF, is a testimony to the quality consciousness of the college and its willingness to do things that would help it evolve in sync with the changing times. It's a matter of great pride and honor that we have a host of luminaries who have agreed to be a part of this two-day national workshop. Over the course of the next 2 days, we would be listening to Dr. B.S. Ponmudi Raju, Professor Gabriel Simon Tuttle, Dr. Sunil C. Matthew, Dr. R. Selvam, Dr. Usha Nair, Father Dr. Gigi Thomas, and Dr. Ann Baby. Besides this, we would also be having a paper reading session, which too promises to shed more light on the topic under scrutiny. I am sure that this workshop would go a long way in giving the college a roadmap on the strategies to be adopted in the wake of the new National Education Policy 2020, and also keeping in mind the fact that Bishopmore College is all set to go for the fourth cycle of NAAC accreditation next year. The pandemic year have posed new challenges and simultaneously have opened new windows of opportunities for us. We are now aware of the possibilities that technology offers to us while being conscious of its pitfalls. This online national workshop itself is a proof of how technology can be used to enrich ourselves and with the best thoughts from across the globe while being stationed in our homes or our workplaces. However, we as a family have been conscious of the digital divide and have relentlessly been trying to bridge the same. A famous Chinese proverb that says, if you are planning for a year, sow rice. If you're planning for a decade, plant trees. If you're planning for a lifetime, educate people. Today, I believe that for India to be a global leader, we should endeavor to accomplish all the three simultaneously and attempt to do it well. Teaching, learning, and research are the foundation of all education. These three should go hand in hand. Understanding these three terms and thinking of the ways and means to effectively involve in the three is what would make any educational institution stand out as a center of excellence. Listening to the best minds from across the country talk on this subject would indeed be a treat, and I am eagerly looking forward for the same. I'm sure by tomorrow evening we would be having a lot of people to borrow Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's phrase with ignited minds. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm Anup Nair, and it's my proud privilege to be here to invite the keynote speaker for today, Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle. Even though the Vice Principal, sir, has already introduced him for the benefit of those who joined late, I'll do that once again. Professor Gabriel Simon Tuttle is a professor and a head of the Department of Commerce, School of Business Management and Legal Studies. He's also the Dean of the Faculty of Commerce. He's a Director, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, University of Kerala. He's an academician of eminence, and I'm sure that many of us know him to be one of the brightest stars in the academic firmament of this part of the world. He has excelled academically right from his student days. He was a rank holder in MCOM and MPhil. He finished his PhD from the Department of Commerce and Management Studies, University of Calicut. He has an MBA with the first class from Annamala University and has a postgraduate diploma in Human Resource Management. He has authored 3 books and has published 48 research articles in reputed journals. He has over 28 years of teaching and research experience and has successfully guided 25 PhDs and 49 MPhil scholars. Sir was a coordinator for a major research project undertaken by the Department of Commerce, University of Kerala, for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. He was the coordinator of the UGC SAP project from 2009 to 14, and he is at present the coordinator for the innovative project of the Department of Financial Planning and Financial Literacy for SC/ST communities. He is a former General Secretary of the Indian Accounting Association and current Chief Editor, Indian Journal of Accounting. He is a life member of the Indian Commerce Association and professional member of the National Institute of Personal Management and member of All India Management Association. He is a governing board member of the Center for Development Studies and a member advisory board on Kerala Institutional Ranking Framework of the Kerala State Higher Education Council, and is also the State Quality Assurance Cell member. An interesting detail is that he was the IQAC director of the University of Kerala when it first got accredited by NAAC with an A grade in 2015. He has assisted 4 universities in their pre-NAAC accreditation process. It is with utmost humility that I invite Professor Gabriel Simon Tuttle for the keynote speech. So.
Thank you. A very good morning to one and all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, at the outset, I thank Bishop Moore College, IQAC, as well as the college for having invited me for the keynote on a particular technical session. But now I'm privileged to be the inaugural speaker also for this great workshop, where we have a large number of delegates from within and outside the state who are participating on this workshop on teaching, learning, and research in the context of the revised accreditation process into which all institutions of higher learning are. Now, with your blessings and with the consent of all the participants across, and also with all the good wishes for the best accreditation for all higher education institutions across the world, I, before beginning with the inaugural address, declare this workshop as inaugurated. Now, as part of the inaugural address, I'll just talk about some of the quality concerns which we are actually encountering across the globe, more specifically in India, and how actually NAAC as well as other rating agencies are trying to look at the revised accreditation framework. Now, at the very outset, I think we all need to understand the challenges which India is facing in the context of the complexities which exist in higher education, more so in the backdrop of the new education policy 2020. Now, India is today a very complex higher education system with the diversity and with the kind of variations which exist in higher education across the country. Because being a huge country with more than 130 crore population, what kind of a higher education system is actually required, and what do we actually have, and how are we looking at the system? Now, currently we have around 1,000 universities in the country, more than 50,000 colleges, and with all kinds of diversity. I was just trying to link with what it was maybe 35 years back or 40 years back when I started my higher education. We heard about only a couple of types of universities and maybe 2 or 3 types of colleges at that point of time. We used to hear about state universities. It was all by and large state universities and some specialized universities. But today it is like you have central universities, state universities, private universities, foreign universities, specialized universities, universities in health science, universities in agriculture, universities in technology, so on and so forth. Now we have digital universities. So many open universities, so many varied and diverse kinds of universities. If you look at colleges again, you have a large number of colleges, 50,000 plus colleges, which are aided government colleges, self-financing colleges, autonomous colleges, and all kinds of colleges again. Now, this being the issue, the higher education scenario becoming so complex, quality became a key concern. How do we look at quality? How do we ensure quality? And we started looking at different pros and cons, different ways through which we can obviously ensure quality of higher education institutions. Thus, we started looking at accreditation agency. UGC in the 90s created NAAC. And after that, okay, we also started looking at global as well as regional, the NBA, QS ranking, so on and so forth. So all kinds of ranking became important, because how do you actually ensure a quality education? Now, let me convey the fact that before all these accreditation agencies came into being, even before NAAC or even before UGC or even before NBA, India was at a point of time very well known for quality education. I'm talking about the traditional knowledge as well as the curriculum system that we had, and it was a hub for higher education at that time. There was no external accreditation agencies or interventions at that point of time, but we could build up a system where it was well taken care of. Quality was well taken care of, but those days the numbers were very limited. Somebody who wanted to learn would approach a guru, and the guru would look at that ward holistically, and that was the way in which it happened. But today it is something like numbers have grown. As I said earlier, it has become very complex and diverse. So we said, let us have systems in place to ensure that quality is imparted. So this is the backdrop in which we started looking at it. And this is the backdrop in which the entire world actually looked at higher education systems and tried to see that you have good systems in place to see that the requisite quality does come across. So colleges also need to look into it, specifically in the backdrop of the changing paradigm of higher education. Now, what are those changes? I would just put a few points there. One of those changes are the limitations of time and space being broken up when it comes to higher education. Again, 40 years back or 35 years back when I started teaching, our concept was I am attached to an institution, just like all of you have tags now. I come from this college, I come from that college, I come from this university. So when I am appointed, I will be tagged to an institution, and my responsibility is to teach within the walls of a classroom of that institution. But today, if you look at higher education, it is not just that. All of you who have come from different institutions across the country understand that your institution needs to ensure that you have a greater visibility across the country. So higher education systems are now making itself open. When we talk about blended learning, when we talk about massive open online programs. So it's all like that. Bishop Moore College, who is the host for today's workshop, they need to ensure that their presence through their teachers, through their programs, through their supportive services for the society are extended beyond the walls of that particular institution. So we are now talking about, in fact, that is what we are now doing when we are saying that we are in the online mode. Now, that being the case, again, we will be looking into the quality of your processes in a very competitive environment. The courses you offer, the programs you offer, the value-added programs you offer, the add-on courses that you offer, the placement services that you offer, the consultancy that you offer, the research that you offer, the innovative teaching that you offer, is looked into in a very competitive environment. Earlier, it was like it is only influencing or it is only imparting meaning to those who joined that institution. Today, that has moved across. So we are in a very challenging context where this opening up, this breaking of the limitations or barriers of time and space has become so very important. The second key factor, which has made a significant change in higher education is the fact that we are moving from a mere information age to a knowledge age. Earlier in academics, by and large, a teacher could exist, or a teacher could actually carry out their profession merely by being a conveyor of information. So I receive some information, maybe from the books or maybe from the theories associated, and I am transmitting that information in a classroom context. Today, learners are actually filled with information on their fingertips. So they need some kind of a creative mode where this information can be transformed into knowledge, where they can extend that through certain skills, through certain competencies. The challenge today is how these competencies and skills can get transmitted in a learning ecosystem. And that is what we are trying to look at. So a teacher today, whether it is in physics or science or chemistry or economics or history, is trying to see that the information associated with certain schools of thought or certain concepts actually get transmitted through skills and competencies. So skills, competencies are going to be the lead rather than mere procuring academic degrees. Now, this is very clear when we talk about academic bank of credit, when we talk about skill-embedded programs and skill-embedded learning courses. So what is going to make yourself a sought-after teacher, or what is going to make an institution a sought-after institution, are essentially these ingredients of how that can happen. And this requires a lot of thinking, a lot of creativity in the way you look at the existing theories, the existing concepts. You create courses, you blend it with the support of technology, use this technology in making yourself visible on a wider context. So such issues are very, very relevant. And it is in this context that the revised accreditation framework of NAAC on teaching, learning, and research has actually come up. Now, there are matrices through which I think you will be going through in the process, in the course of your workshop, where actually they are looking at systems in place. The quality accreditation is actually looking at systems in place and how these systems are capturing inputs, processes, and outputs. You look at all the metrics, you look at all the criteria, it's essentially this. When you're saying teaching, what is the system in place to evaluate the inputs that go into teaching, the processes that go into teaching, and the outputs that go into teaching? You look at all the metrics, you find this key. Many of the metrics are basically in terms of inputs. Some are in terms of inputs, like how many students you admitted, what is the diversity in the students that you have admitted. So these are talking about the input. What is the number of teachers you have in your campus? How many of your teachers have postdoctoral or PhD, the doctoral experience? These are all inputs. There are a number of other metrics which are actually related to the processes. What is the library ecosystem, the examination monitoring system, the grievance handling procedure? These are all talking about the processes. And then finally, there are matrices which are associated with the output. What is the pass percentage, the publication of teachers, the project of teachers, the consultancy fund that you have generated, or the placement that has taken place? It is talking about output. So systems in place where inputs get transformed into desired outputs. That is what we are trying to actually look at. Every institution is actually looking at that. You have recruited teachers, you have taken your staff with you, you have admitted students, and you're transforming them to teaching, learning, research, consultancy, extension, so on and so forth. How effective is this transformation process? That is clearly visible in terms of what happens to your output. You have created graduates, you have created postgraduates. How quickly do they get observed into the next system? The success of every system is predominantly based on the acceptability to the follow-on system, which simply means that if higher education has created graduates and postgraduates, the follow-on system, which is in waiting for them, is the industry. It is the entrepreneurship ecosystem which is there. It is the startups. It is the further higher education learning systems which are in waiting for them. That means your students must either get into employment or become entrepreneurs or move into higher learning, research, policy formulation. And you look at the matrices of the accreditation process, it is just looking at the pace with which it happens. They keep asking questions. What percentage of your students got placed? What percentage of your students are taking up startups? What percentage of your students move into higher learning? So it is looking at the effectiveness of the system. Are we successful in transforming them at the levels and at the pace at which they need to move into the next system? This is what actually we are talking about. In very simple terms, quality is just this: creating systems whereby your products and your services are acceptable, and that acceptability comes in terms of how quick they move on to the next system. If it happens immediately, if you look at great institutions, they say our students get placed on day one. Our students move into higher education at this pace. They take up startups at this pace. So these are the parameters that we are looking into. And the revised accreditation framework, which NAAC is talking about from 2017, has made it robust in terms of giving more emphasis to the quantifiable outcomes. Almost 2/3 of the entire metrics is quantifiable, because we are trying to see at whether these outcomes are measurable, whether they are focused, whether they are looking into the end objective for which it has to stand out. So all those of you who are attending this particular workshop, in our own institutions, let us try to examine the systems which are existing. And the key is, how do you ensure that these systems are continuous and sustainable? Because even if you look at those who attend workshops on NAAC, I've seen most often it comes to attending when the institution is in the verge of accreditation. So we are in the 3rd year, 4th year, first cycle is over, 4th year of the second cycle. NAAC is not talking about looking at it at the end of an assessment cycle or an assessment period. It is continuous and it is sustainable. It is not just something which is going to give you a grade. It is something which we need to continuously ensure. And this continuity and this sustainability is very important. When you're saying your teaching processes, is it associated with the outcome? Right from the curriculum, the way you take your attendance, the way you record your internal assessment processes, the way you do the examinations, the way you handle grievances. There is a system for all these things. There is a system which looks at input, process, and output. Similarly, in terms of the learning processes, what are the outcomes? Do they get placed? Do they move into higher learning? So there are systems which we have to see are kept in place. And those institutions which have successfully created those systems and are working on it have been able to deliver. So this is certain thoughts which I thought I would share. And as those who participate, let us go back to our host institution and be part of this system where we are trying to look at what best can be done in our own ways and means, contributing to our higher education institution and seeing that it is not just that I get a grade or I am something in that grade. Beyond that, let us enjoy the fruits of good grading and good accreditation. But beyond that, let us have something to sustain, something to remain, something to build up that quality, where the mass that we get into our campus is transformed. So I wish this workshop all success. As I have already inaugurated, I will be again addressing you on best practices as well as innovative practices in teaching and learning. So wishing you all success and hoping that this workshop will again come out with outcomes where we are more refined in the processes in which we engage in our respective institutions. I thank all of you for this opportunity. And I hope, because workshops, it's nice listening. So beyond listening, let us be observing, let us be involving, and let us be fruitful in our own respective domains, where we try to look at the best possible quality, which each one of us in our own way can impart. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, sir. So it was, thank you for that wonderful keynote, which I'm sure will prove to be a key to unlocking the spirit of the topic and the discussion. So he talked about how higher education scenario in India. He talked about the higher education scenario in India and the ways and means to ensure quality. He observed how limitations of time and space no longer exist and how we are moving from the information age to the knowledge age. He talked about how it is imperative, how it is necessary to have a creative overhaul of the existing system, and about how NAAC RAF plans to do the same. He talked about how the success of any system is measured, and that was a very interesting statement, I believe, that how the success of any system is measured on how it is accepted and absorbed by the follow-on system. He told us about how accreditation process measures this pace of placements and the pace of the startups being set up. So we have to, he said, examine the systems in place in our institutions. Thank you very much, sir, for that keynote address. I now invite the convener of the workshop, Dr. Lynette Joseph, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected Principal of the College, Dr. Jacob Chandy, sir, IQAC Director and Dean of Commerce of the University of Kerala, Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, sir, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinates of the College, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, sir, resource persons of various sessions, and respected principals and faculty members from various colleges all over the country, my dear colleagues and friends. The IQAC of Bishopmore College is greatly privileged to host this national workshop on teaching, learning and research in the perspective of NAAC RAF. As we heard from our respected Gabriel Simon Tuttle, sir, in the inaugural address, we know the higher education sector in India at present is in a transformation stage with the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. And we know that NEP is mainly focused on skill-based education and out-of-the-box thinking. And so fundamental reforms are inevitable in teaching, learning and research so as to cater to such a paradigm shift towards skill-based education and all. It is based on this concept that we know new matrices on NEP are also implemented in the revised accreditation framework with effect from 2021. In this scenario, we hope that this national conference workshop will serve as a wonderful platform for faculty members all over the country to carry out fruitful discussions based on how to enhance quality in higher education, especially in the perspective of NAAC RAF and NEP 2020. I believe that all the participants will truly benefit from this 2 days program. So let me step into my duty. This inaugural session was presided over by Dr. Jacob Chandy, Principal of Bishopmore College. On behalf of the organizing committee of the workshop and all the participants, I sincerely thank Professor Dr. Jacob Chandy for presiding over this meeting and for delivering the presidential address. Also, we thank you, sir, for your able leadership, advice, and support from the very beginning stage of this workshop. We are truly honored to have Professor Dr. Simon Tuttle, sir, an eminent educationist, administrator, and researcher, and the IQAC Director and Dean of Commerce of the University of Kerala, for inaugurating this workshop and for delivering the inaugural address. He presented before us the challenges India is facing in the higher education sector, especially in the context of national education policy. And also he emphasized on the need for giving more importance on outcome-based education in our teaching learning processes. On behalf of Bishopmore College, Malikira, and all the participants, sir, I extend our sincere thanks to you. We look forward to hear from you more in the coming session as well. My sincere thanks to Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, sir, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator of the college, for delivering the welcome speech, as well as for coordinating all the activities related to this workshop. I also extend sincere thanks to the advisor of NAAC, Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, and all other resource persons, Dr. Sunil C. Matthew, Dr. R. Shelvam, Dr. Usha Nair, Father Dr. Gigi Thomas, Dr. Ann Baby, and Dr. Ann Baby. Also, I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore, for providing academic and financial support for this workshop. 238 participants from all over the country registered for this workshop, and it includes respected principals, directors, and we have one deputy director also, IQAC coordinators and faculty members from all over the country. I thank each one of them for their interest in associating with this program. Also, I thank all those who contributed papers for the oral presentation and discussion sessions. Let me thank all the faculty members and non-teaching staff of the college who are attending this workshop. Sincere thanks to all the members of the organizing committee who is working hard to make this workshop a grand success. Before concluding my vote of thanks, let me give a few instructions to the participants also. I hope that all the participants have received the program schedule by now. I request all the participants to please join the sessions in time. While you join the sessions, please write your name and affiliation in the chat box, which will be monitored. And by the end of each session, the feedback link will also be posted in the Zoom chat box. Kindly submit that also within 15 minutes, and it will also be monitored for considering for the issue of attendance and participation certificate. Each session will be followed by a question answer session. Those who have questions may post it in the chat box, which will be read out by the chair of the session, or if you want your microphone to be unmuted and to ask question in person, please post the same message in the chat box. Wishing all the participants very fruitful hours ahead. And now we are concluding the inaugural session. The next session will be at 11:30 a.m. By Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle sir itself on innovations and best practices in teaching learning in higher education institutions. Thank you all once again. Let's join at 11:30 a.m. for the next session. Thank you.